Hey guys, I'm Shawn Cheek of webpianoteacher.com and ShawnCheek.com. I'm going to do my best today to answer all of your questions. And these are just questions many of you have been asking over the years. And I thought I would just make a video answering some of the common questions everyone has. So it's going to be a long video, but we'll take a look real quick of what's on it so we can see if your question is on here that you were wondering. So you can just skip through the video if you want and not have to watch the whole thing. We'll be discussing the difference between webpianoteacher.com and ShawnCheek.com. What's the difference? Which one is for you? We'll be discussing memberships. Everyone always asks this, is the membership non-recurring or is it recurring? Do I charge you again automatically? Go ahead and tell you right now, I do not. Once you buy a membership, that's all you buy, and if you want to buy something else later, you can, but I never automatically just charge your card. Anyway, we'll keep going. Printouts. Everybody wants to print out the whiteboards and all that. I understand that. We're going to talk about ways to get printouts and all that. Searching for lessons. If you're on the website, there's so many lessons, thousands and thousands of lessons, and you want to just search for your favorite lessons that you want. There is a way to do that. I'm going to tell you. For beginners, if you're a beginner and you need help with where to start, what do I do? There's so many lessons. What do I do? I have a plan for you, so we'll talk about that. Mobile devices, everyone wonders if it'll work on phones, iPads, and I'll go ahead and answer that. Yes, they do. My website does work on all devices. We really strive to do that to where you can watch on anything. Requests, if you want to request something, okay, because you have your certain music that you want to learn, and you can get your request done. You have to do it a certain way, but I do request. In fact, that's all I do. Renewal. If you're trying to renew your membership, some people have trouble understanding the process there. If you already have a profile and you're trying to renew, a little bit of confusion there, so we'll clear that up. Lifetime memberships. Everyone wants to know, is it really a lifetime membership? Yes, it is. What's entailed? Am I going to keep doing this? What happens if I die? Those things. So I'll answer those questions. How to practice. Everybody, has the things they want to learn, but how do you practice? How do you apply? What do you actually do with your practice time? We'll talk about that. Single lessons. If you don't want a website membership and you just want certain lessons to work on, you don't want a time limitation, you just want to have the videos to work on, we can do that too. If you want to buy single lesson videos, there's a way to do that. The favorites on the Web Piano Teacher. You always want to come back to certain lessons you're working on. There is a way to favorite the videos so that you have your little core group of lessons that you can always go back to on the site to do that. We'll talk about that. Musical problems. Some of you will have problems with a particular piece and you want to contact me about that. If you're having a rhythm problem or just whatever it might be. Maybe I made a mistake during the lesson and you're checking it out. What goes on the site? People want to know, how do I decide what is going to go on the site? What's on there? What kind of lessons? Site content. How long will I do this? How long am I going to continue being a teacher and online? I'm going to tell you, as long as I have breath. But notes are by ear. A lot of you, have a question that kind of goes the difference between Web Piano Teacher and ShawnCheek.com. Should I learn by ear? Should I learn notes or both? Getting into details there. What keyboard? Some of you want a keyboard or a piano. How do I decide what keyboard to get? What piano? I have no idea. Do I spend a lot of money, a little money? Is there a cheap option? Will it matter what kind of keyboard I get? We'll talk about that. Maybe you're on the website and the video won't play almost all the time now, since I have my own dedicated server. It has to do with browser caching and some other things, and we'll talk about how to fix that so the video will play on your device. Maybe you have PayPal problems. Maybe you hate PayPal with a vengeance because of the way things used to be a long time ago just years ago. Maybe you want a different way to pay. There are other options, and I'll tell you what those options are. You don't have to use PayPal, though it's not like it used to be. We'll talk about that later, but how long until I can play well? All right, I'm practicing. I stink. I want to get better. How long is it going to take me till I'm as good as you or as good as someone else or just better? What's going to be the process there? We'll talk about that. Will piano help me with other instruments? Sometimes I get questions from people that play other instruments. Will these lessons help me with theory and all this other thing? We'll talk about that. Why are people drawn to my lessons? These are usually my critics. You know, why are you doing this? This is crazy. This is stupid. Well, we'll talk about that. But before we do, just know that, you know, millions of people tune in whenever I upload a new video. I don't have millions of subscribers to my website, but I have, you know, millions of views. But how do I figure out music? And that means they're asking me, how do I do it? And also the same question, how does someone go about that? How does someone listen to something and figure out what's being played? Okay, and then the last question is, you know, fingering. People always have questions about their fingering. How do I know which finger to use? What's the process there? What can I do? And I'm just giving you some advice at the end. Here we'll talk about that as well. So these are the most common questions, and I'll address all of them. If I don't answer your particular question, if you want to put a question in the comments on my YouTube video, I'll post to several places, but if you post in the comments on YouTube, or on Facebook, I'll try to do that as well. I'll try to answer it in the comments as I'm able. I'm trying to be more responsive, a lot more responsive to the social media content. Now that my 4 kids are in school now, I have a lot more free time to do that sort of thing, to try to answer everyone's questions. But it's hard because there's a lot. Okay, so there's my website there, Web Piano Teacher, my main one. But I do have 2 websites. The first one, easypianolessons.com. What's that about? That's about learning to play by ear. I've been teaching piano lessons for 27 years, and I had many students who were very talented. They had great ears, they had great potential, but they could not read music to save their life, and I I tried all the tricks I could to get them to read better or to read music in the first place, and they just couldn't do it, and they got so frustrated they would quit. And so I started teaching a different way because I figured, you know, I want these guys to play music. I want these kids to be able to play music and not quit. I'd rather them learn to play by ear than to just quit and never play anything, you know, not to force that music reading so much that they quit and they never learn to play anyway. A lot of the great musicians don't read music at all. They just play by ear. And I've always played by ear and by note. And as a kid, I used to play records and try to figure. I remember playing the record, the LP. The record player was in the kitchen, so I had to play a little bit and then walk back into the living room and then write down what I heard. I remember doing that when I was like 8 or 9 years old, going back and forth all day for hours. So I've been doing this for a long time, teaching for 27 years, and I had already been used to hearing things and figuring them out. So I'd have the kids pick the favorite songs they wanted to play and then started writing them out by ear. And guess what? A lot less students quit. Kids would actually learn to play that were on the verge of quitting. So I kept teaching in this way for the kids it would work for, and the adults too. So that's what Web Piano Teacher is about. I'm using letters and I talk about chords and rhythms. I'm just teaching you a different way, okay? Note reading is a man-made invention that someone made up. It's very neat and it's very cool and works very well for a lot of things. But the way that I do it is just a different way to learn, okay? That's all it is, a different way to learn. And it's not for everyone, but it is for a lot of people. Most of my subscribers to Web Piano Teacher tend to be failed music readers who have a lot of musical talent, who love music and want to play, and they're just drawn to my lessons immediately. So that's what webpianoteacher.com is about, learning to play by ear using the letters on the whiteboard. Okay, I have, I think, 4,000 and counting lessons on there now. I've been online teaching for about the last 10 years. So just strictly online now, and I think that 17 years of teaching individually day in and day out for 17 years really prepared me for this, because I don't have you sitting right next to me, but because I had all that experience teaching live with people, I know what will tend to be the problems, what you'll tend to need. So I kind of give you that in advance, just having the instincts of what someone's going to need. Okay, I think all of that private teaching I did was preparing me for this next stage. So that's Web Piano Teacher. ShawnCheek.com is the site I made after Web Piano Teacher, because there were people that contact me and say, you know, I want to really learn to read music. The by ear thing is fine, or I think it's wacky or whatever. I want to learn to read music. So that's what ShawnCheek.com is. I have sight reading lessons on there. The boot camp series. Sight reading, learning the sight read tends to be a boring activity. So be ready to work hard if you're going to try that. But that's what that's about, is just learning to read music. And I have some sheets on there you can print out, and you have to have rigorous practice. If you're dedicated to it, it'll work. All right, there are certain problems people have when they're trying to learn to read, where they memorize and use their ear instead of actually reading the notes. So we alleviate all of that, and we just really work on the process of reading the music faster and better, and so forth. So that's the first thing. Membership's non-recurring. We already talked about that. I do not charge you automatically for a new membership. I do that on purpose. Okay, I don't want to prey on people's forgetfulness, which is what a lot of companies do today. They only allow the recurring so that you don't realize you forget, then they charge again, boom, and they're hoping you just say, oh, forget about it, and they get more money. And I don't do that. I don't like that practice. I hate when it happens to me. So I do not automatically charge a card. The downside to that is that you have to wait a couple of hours, because I have to activate all the memberships by hand. Usually it takes me a couple of hours. If you pay at 2 in the morning, I'm not going to get up and activate your membership. You got to wait till I get up, 8, 9, 10, till I get to activating your memberships. But they do not recur. Whatever you buy, that's what you get, and you'll have to actually go in again and decide to pay again. I will not automatically charge you. Printouts. Okay, here's the big deal. The whiteboards, people want printouts of that. A lot of people copy them down by hand. That's a great thing to do, because it really helps you remember it. You ever had to make a list of something, but just the act of making the list made you remember it? You didn't have to look at the list, but you accomplished everything on the list because you wrote it down. Something about writing it out is great. But some of you want printouts, I understand that. For the old videos, okay, before I had the iPad and the electronic board, and I had the whiteboard and the ink and the smudging and all of that, when I had that up, this is what members tend to do. They'll go full screen with the video and then take a screenshot. If you're on an iPad or an iPhone, you can hit the home button and the power button at the same time, and it'll take a screenshot of whatever's on your screen. It'll show up in your camera roll, and then you can print that out. Okay? That's all you do for that. I think for other devices it's a different thing, but you can take screenshots and then print that out for yourself. Okay? For the newer lessons where I have the iPad high resolution sheets, you can purchase sheets from me for that if you want. I have a bulk price for getting those. But the screenshot thing works for a lot of people. So I'm going to really work on trying to get everything, even the old stuff, rewritten so that it looks like the old boards. Everything's in the same place, but it's nicer and you can print it out. So I'm going to work on that. That's going to take a lot of time, but we'll see how that goes. Searching for lessons on the site. If you are a member, you have a search box that you can type in. If you're not a member, the search box does not appear. Okay, so once you become a member, you can type in whatever you're looking for on the website, and it will show up if it's there. But listen, you guys, do y'all know the Command F or Control F? If you hit that, you'll have a box and you can type in something, and it'll search the whole page for you. Your computer will automatically do that and search for whatever you're looking for. So you can search on the site. Either use my search box that's already there for members, or hitting Control or Command F. Beginners. Where do I start? Well, what you need to do if you're a beginner, just to get used to my method and to get used to building a foundation so you can play the other pieces on the site. Hit the main library list, okay, and scroll down all the way alphabetically to the letter L for lesson. And you'll see 50 lessons. They're just 50 generic lessons. Those are my Easy Piano Lesson series that I always talked about. There are 50 lessons to get you started. Now, I had an old camera recording, long, but they still work. And you can tell how old they are because of the cell phone I hold up to tell when I'm starting the video. It's an old, one of the old big cell phones. But those 50 lessons are for you. That's where you start, okay? And then you can try some of the level 1, level 2 stuff. Stick with that. But those 50 lessons will start you off on webpianoteacher.com. If you're a beginner, on ShawnCheek.com for the sight reading. Watch the sight reading basics lessons. There's 3 of them. And then there's 102 sight reading lessons that'll take you through from very beginning. Now you need to do those even if you say, oh, I can already play some. No, we need to break down and rebuild your processes, what you do. And so you got to start from square one. If you're wanting the sight reading lessons to work, you got to start over. Sorry, you have to, so they can retrain your brain on how you perceive what's on the page and apply it to the keyboard, okay? So you got to start with that with lesson 1, go through lesson 102. After you finish those, you can go to the Bach pieces and some of the other lessons I have on there for sight reading once you graduate to that point. Mobile devices, yes. Work on the iPad? Yes. Does it work on iPhone? Yes. Android? Yes. If you have a first generation iPad, it may not play, okay? And I can't help that. If you have an old device and you say, well, the videos won't play anymore, I'm sorry, you know, the players that we get to use as developers are updated constantly, and they don't support a lot of the old stuff all the time. So, you know, I can't help that if you have an ancient device. But if you have a moderately new device, it should play on it. Requests, people always want to get on my request list. A lot of people want me to do their requests for free. I cannot, I'm sorry. This is my job. The way I make a living, the website memberships do cost money, because if I didn't make money from it, then I wouldn't have time to do it. I'd have to do something else, and there would be no website or anything. So requests do cost money. Usually they cost a little more than people are expecting, but you've got to realize how much time that goes into it. I have to listen to it, figure it out. I'm very detailed. This is why a lot of people come to my lessons, not just because I teach by ear, but because I'm accurate on whatever I'm listening to. You ever got sheet music and it's not accurate, and it's just not what they're playing on the album at all? I'm like, what is this? Got the melody in the right hand, and then, you know, I want to play what so-and-so's playing. And that's why people come to my lessons. I think a big part of it is because I'm accurate. I get as close as I can to what I'm hearing in whatever version someone has hired me to do. And you can't find that music anywhere, at least not accurate. So that's part of, I think, the draw why people come to my lessons on Web Piano Teacher. For requests. To get on the request, this is what I do. I have a high request list. About every 4 to 6 months, I'm going to try to make that a lot shorter this time, but I'll take what I call a high request list. I'll have a window of 2 or 3 weeks where you can submit your request with a bid. I'll have a category, you know, where you can decide how much you want to bid on your lesson, because I can't take them all, guys. I get hundreds. I take what I can, but I take bids on those. And then I'll make the list. Then I'll post the list, and then I'll work on those till I get them all done. Then I'll take another list. Well, how do you know when I'm taking the list? I'll post on Facebook and YouTube, and I'll send out an email. Hey, I'm taking new bids for the next high request list, and you'll be able to try to get on it at that point. So that's how I do it. If I'm in the middle of a list and it's locked down, you can't get on it. Okay. You can't get on it. You can, sometimes people will, you know, pay, ridiculous amount of money for me to fit something in, and hey, I got to take that. So I'll work overtime to get that one in for them that week or something. But normally just the list is locked, and I'll just finish it, as I'm able. And I work every day on them. Renewal. Some people have trouble renewing. Wait till your membership expires. You will not lose your favorites. You won't lose your profile. Let it expire. Then log in. Okay? Log in. Then you can go through the process just like you did the very first time when you paid. Okay? So let it expire first. Then log in, and then you can go through the process. You can always just PayPal it to me as well, and I'll know what membership level you're buying by the price that you send. Okay? Lifetime memberships are truly lifetime. It isn't for 5 years and then I want more money for something else. No, it's truly a lifetime membership. And many times you'll spend in a couple of months with private lessons with someone like me what you would spend on a lifetime membership on my site. So private lessons, that money would be gone in a couple of months. But lifetime membership is a lifetime. And they truly are. I'm not going to come back asking for more money. Every video I do is going to go on the website. You'll have access to everything as a member, as a lifetime member. The lifetime memberships do not entitle you to requests. Okay, that's a separate issue. If you want to hire me for requests, you can, but just because you buy a lifetime membership doesn't mean I have to do every lesson you want me to do now. So you can always suggest things, but really I'm kind of locked into doing the high request deal. How to practice. How do I practice? Well, get yourself an old-fashioned notebook paper, or a spiral. Okay? Learn something. Write it down in the spiral. Now learn something else and keep both of them in there. Just when you finish learning something, that doesn't mean you stop playing it. Keep playing it. A lot of your progress will come from playing the thing that you played a whole bunch and it's driving everybody crazy in the house. But if you keep playing it, somehow it just really will enrich you and progress you as a musician, a piano player. Okay? So then you got two things that you play all the time. Add a third thing. Add a fourth thing when you're ready, but keep playing the review material. The main mistake people make is they quit reviewing their old stuff. Keep playing those old songs that are cool. They didn't start being not good songs just because you finished learning them. Keep playing them. Keep playing all of it. Your ability as a musician will be a composite of everything you've ever played. Okay? And the better you learn all these pieces that you're learning to play, the better musician you'll be overall. And you'll improve as a musician, not just on that one song, on that one piece, okay? That's how you practice. Have two things in your practice time. Review stuff and new stuff. Review stuff and new stuff. Both of those things. And what you choose is up to you. If something's too hard, quit playing it. You chose something you didn't choose very well. If you chose something too hard, scrap it, go to something else. Maybe you just want to learn the first part of a song. Don't feel like you have to learn the whole thing. If you really like the first part and you're getting something out of the first part, that's fine. Put it in your repertoire, move on, add something else. Okay? Don't stick on something that's too hard. Better to play a lot of things that are kind of hard, but I can do it, than it is to play a couple of things that are so super hard that you're getting frustrated. Single lessons. Can I get single lessons? Yes, you can. You can get single lesson downloads. Just email me. This is my email address. easypianolessons@yahoo. easypianolessons@yahoo.com. And send me your list of your single lessons that you want. I can send you download links through email. And I can also send sheets as well. I'm really working on how to get all that going easier. But you can buy single lessons. You can. You have to send me your list though. Favorites on the website. It's called My Web Piano Teacher, I think. But you just click which lessons you want to go in there. I haven't done it. Well, I can't remember exactly how it works, but where it says My Web Piano Teacher, it's like your favorites, and you can have your group of lessons that you work on, and you don't have to look at that whole list and find it every time. You'll have your little group of lessons. And you won't lose the favorites if your membership expires. You'll still have it when you log back in, and it'll be there. Favorites. Musical problems. Guys, I'm just one person, and everybody has lots of questions, and I really am not able to help you with individual music problems. Now, if I made a mistake in a video and I need to fix something, if there's a technical problem, if one video won't play, if I didn't type it in right or something, I got to fix that, and I will definitely work with you on that if I have a mistake there. But if you have a particular musical problem with learning something, I'm just not able to help, because if I help one person, I got to help everybody to be fair all the time, and I would never be able to get any work done if I did that, because there's so many people. And I'm just not able to do that, because I would have to, I don't know off the cuff. I got to go back and listen to it and figure it out. Okay? And that takes time to do that, and I just am not able time-wise to do that for everyone. What goes on, and you may think, well, you didn't play what you said you did there, you made a mistake. Probably I did. I'm not perfect, and I make mistakes all the time. Hope I catch most of them. But if you're thinking, I just don't think Shawn was right there, you probably are right, okay? Just do what you think it is. This is my recommendation. What goes on the site? The requests. Somebody says, well, you don't have this or that. Well, request it, because I don't decide what goes on the site. My patrons do, the people that pay me to do hired requests. Okay, if you're just someone that buys a month membership once in a while and you're complaining that you want this or that, you got to request. You got to get on a list to see certain things. I just do what all my patrons want. That's what goes on there. So if you like what's on there, it's because of what everyone's requested. How long will I do this? And I would just say until I breathe my last because this is an awesome job for me. I love it. I think everything that I've done in my life musically and professionally has led up to this job during this time in my life. And you guys are just wonderful. You support me. I'm not filthy stinking rich or anything. I have to go month to month to make ends meet just like everybody else. But it is a great job, and I love it, and it's the only thing that I know to do now. So I'm going to keep doing it. I do it all day. No, not all day, but many days I'm 4, 5, 6, 7 hours doing this. Notes are by ear. You may have a question about that. Should I do webpianoteacher.com or should I do ShawnCheek.com? I would recommend not doing both at the same time. Okay, playing by ear will tend to not help your playing by note. Playing by note will tend to not help your playing by ear. They just don't really work together unless you're already an advanced pianist. If you're way down the road and you want to try both, I think you can do it. But if you're kind of beginning, intermediate stage, pick one or the other to work on. Can you do both websites? Yes, you can, because you can learn to, I do. I play by ear and I play by note. I played by ear really well all my life. I was a terrible sight reader for many years. Retaught myself how to sight read well. I figured out what the problem was. That's how I'm able to help other people who had the same problem, because I went through it. All right, I went through it. I had to retrain myself, and then I'm just showing you what I did myself, so I can read very well now. But you have to decide, what you want to do. Don't feel bad if you decide, well, I just don't want to read notes. Don't feel like you're a cop-out. It's just a different way of learning, okay? It's just a different way of learning is all it is. If you just want to play and enjoy life and enjoy music, Web Piano Teacher is just fine for that. If you want to learn to read notes, though, and you say, well, I want to be able to pick up a piece of music and play anything I want, just set it down and learn to play, well, then you can try ShawnCheek.com and work on those things. You have to decide what you want. There are memberships I offer where you can get both sites, with the lifetime, but so you can work on one for a while, a few months, and then go to the next one for a few months and go back and forth like that, because you'll get tired of sight reading after a while. Say, man, I need to just play some fun songs I love. Then you can go over to Web Piano Teacher, and then that way. But I would recommend not doing both sites at the same time if you are in the beginner stages. What keyboard do I get? Listen, guys, this is a Casio. I think I paid $500 for this at Best Buy. It is a cheap Casio keyboard, okay? But I love it. Don't think that because you spend a lot of money on a keyboard, you're going to be an awesome musician. Nope. Sorry. That doesn't work like that. Or that if you buy a cheap keyboard, it's going to prevent you from learning to play. No, with the technology we have today, even the cheap keyboards are awesome, the way they used to be. I recommend weighted keys, though. Weighted keys. Not like organ keys where you barely press them and they go down easy like a little cheap keyboard. Full-size keys, definitely, where they're not little mini keys like on a toy, but they're full-size keys, and weighted keys. And beyond that, I would say it doesn't really matter. If you don't have a lot of money, just find one of these for sale for $100 and get it. It's a little Casio Privia. And it works just fine for me. I've used it for my videos. It works. Yes, you can get some more enjoyment out of the higher end keyboards, but that's not going to make or break you as a musician, okay? If you're not sure how this is all going to work out, buy you a cheapie to start with, and then you can start saving up, and one day say, all right, I'm ready to get a nice keyboard. All right, but the technology is so good today. So just remember those two things, full-size keys and weighted keys. And buying a used one is fine as long as all the notes play. Check it out. I wouldn't buy it where they're going to ship it to you if it's used. I want it to all be working. Anyway, video won't play. Probably, most likely, either your device is really old or you have a caching issue in your browser. Clear your cache and history. Clear it out and then restart your device, log in again, it'll play just fine. Because what happens, I think the device is trying to play a broken link from before. It keeps trying that instead of refreshing it. So something like that. I'm not a tech head, but clear your cache and history, restart your device. Probably going to work then because I have my own dedicated server, and it works really well. It's a lot of money every month. Oh, it's a lot, but I need to have it so that you guys can stream and stream fast, and that's what we've had the past couple of years. It's just awesome streaming because of the dedicated server. So I'm going to keep that, and so you guys can have that luxury. How long until I can play well? How long until I get good? Well, that depends upon you. It depends upon your talent level first, but more than that, it depends on how much you work. The best way to practice is a little bit all throughout the day. If you can do that, little bits. The people who don't make it are the ones who try to cram and force themselves for 1, 2, 3 hours at a time, and then they burn out, most definitely. No, you've got to make it a part of your life. Play for 5 or 10 minutes. Get up and go have a sandwich. Come back, play for 5 or 10 minutes. In the morning, throughout the day. It's like eating a bunch of small meals instead of eating one big meal, right? That's more healthy. So those are the people that learn to play, that make it part of their life, where they're not practicing, they're playing because they want to play. Okay, if you're playing guitar, get it out of the case and put it in the stand so you can just grab it up and start playing. Don't have it in the case, you got to take it out of the case, you got to get the pick. Now have it right there. Piano, have the keyboard right there, you just flip it on and start playing. Okay, make it a part of your everyday life. It's where you just sit down and play and then go do something else. Come back and sit down and play. Those are the people that learn to play. Not the most talented, though talent will have an effect on how quickly you learn. Okay. Will piano help with other instruments? Yes. Piano, let me just answer the question this way. When you go to college and you take saxophone or flute or trumpet or voice lessons or whatever musical instrument maybe you're taking triangle lessons, they're going to make you take piano lessons. Every instrument has to take piano. Why? Because piano is the easiest instrument to understand what's going on with music, with chords, because you can see it. You can see the chord. You can't see a chord when you have 3 instruments playing the same chord. They're all playing their, oh, that sounds nice. But on the piano, you can see it, you can visualize it, and the piano can play what an orchestra does, with bass, melody, harmonies, different rhythms. It's amazing. You can have 4 different things going on at once as a piano player. And because the instrument does those things so well, it's easy to look at it and see and understand that it's a requirement to take piano lessons. So yes, piano will help you with your other instruments, most definitely. Why are people drawn to my lessons? We kind of talked about that already. That's kind of answering the critics who say, this is junk, this is stupid, you're hurting people, all this stuff. Well, for one thing, I think being a bad sight reader sometimes is not just because you're lazy. I think some people's brains do not work. Reading notes and transferring it is just not something that's going to work well. It's just like, I can't run very fast. I'm not fast. I'm not ever going to be fast, right? I'm 44. It's never going to happen. And some people have that block with reading music, though they're musically talented. And so those people are drawn to my lessons because I have a different way to learn. So they have just as much enjoyment, maybe more enjoyment, than the people that are robot sight reading machines who have no ear and can play anything because they can read music. So, that's one reason. The other reason is because of the accuracy of my transcriptions. I write down and I teach you what I'm hearing. So you get to play the actual thing that you're hearing in the album version or whatever version it is on YouTube. Usually I get the links from there because of the accuracy. And that's why people are drawn to my lessons there. On the sight reading lessons, I think, on ShawnCheek.com, they're drawn to those because when I explain the problems they're having, because they're the problems I had, they go, yes, that's what is happening to me. And I think, since I know the problem, that maybe I can help them figure it out because I figured it out for myself. And I think that's why they're drawn to it. And plus, hopefully you can tell I've been teaching lessons for the majority of my life. And, you tend to get good at something that you do that much. How do I figure out music? Well, first people want to know, how do I figure it out? Well, I'm kind of blessed in a way because I have something called, they call it perfect pitch. It's not perfect, but that's what they call it, perfect pitch. And all that means is when I hear chords or notes, automatically know what they are without having to pick around and find it. It just shows up in my brain what it is. And I was in my teens before I realized that everyone couldn't do that, and that it was a real blessing to be able to have that. So that's a big part of how I figure it out, as I hear it and I do. The other thing is, to help you guys, if you don't have that ability, there are many musicians who don't have that ability and are awesome and can figure out things. And I recommend on that, figuring out music when you're listening. Figure out the bottom note, the bass note. If you can't hear the piano, listen for the bass guitar, and then figure out the top note. Okay, on the piano. Figure out those two, and then you can kind of fill in the middle after that. Fill out, what notes are in the middle to make the chord. But find the bottom, find the top, and then try to fill in the middle and take little sections. Listen to them over and over again, and you can start that way. But that's how I figure out the music. I hear it, and it just pops in my head what it is. Many times, I just get a certain feeling with certain chords, and it just, is an automatic language to me that way. Fingering. I try to tell you a lot of the fingerings I'm using when I'm doing things in the lessons, but maybe, the better thing is for you to just find out your own way. And as far as fingering goes, you just have to keep trying different fingerings out. And really, this is what happens. Your body figures it out after a while. If you do it long enough and do a passage long enough, your hand is just going to kind of figure out what to do, the best thing to do. That's how I figure out fingerings, is I just keep playing it, and I've played so much that automatically I'll finally get there. I don't have to look at there and say, analyze it, go, this thumb needs to go here so that this one can go here. No, it just kind of happens and comes out. I don't really think about it. And to get to that point for you, you just need to keep playing. Do whatever finger you think you should use, and as you keep playing it, you'll notice that your hand will start to do something different to make it easier to get there. Something in our motor mechanism just does it. It finds an easier way if you keep doing the same thing over and over. Okay, so fingerings will work themselves out a lot of times. Just don't spend a lot of time pulling your hair out over what fingering you're going to use for a certain passage. Okay, it'll start to happen for you if you keep playing, and that leads me to my last thing here on the board here. Don't give up. Those are the people that learn to play. Those are the people that get to the point where they can finger things and not have to think about it. Those are the people who can learn to figure out music and hear it and play it. Those are the people who get to where they can play well, who end up playing their favorite songs and enjoy music and live because they don't give up. They don't quit. Now, I know that sounds very cliche, but that really is what it comes down to. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep playing. If you don't like what you're playing, change what you're playing. Because you like music, right? Just change the music. Scrap that spiral, get another one, and start over with something else. But keep playing. Don't give up. Maybe take a break once in a while, but then come back to it. And that's my longest video I've ever made, probably, trying to answer everyone's questions in one video. So again, if you're still with me, maybe there's one person that's still with me watching, and you have a question that I didn't answer, you can post it in the comments and I'll try to answer if I'm able to. Okay guys? There you go. I'll talk to you later.